This individual or organization is currently serving as an official exhibitor, showcasing their unique products and services to all the attendees at this major event. We are going to be replacing the entire axle assembly today because, as you can clearly see right here, the wheels are slanted inward like the shape of the letter A. This condition already significantly reduces the internal clearance, both on one side and the other as well. Apparently this is happening because the leaf springs are already completely worn out and sagging, and that is exactly why this wheel is tilting so far inwards. So a brand new replacement spring axle was purchased for this project. Let's go ahead and unpack it now to see exactly what is inside the box. This complete axle assembly includes every necessary component, and we are going to walk you through the entire process of how to replace such an axle on your vehicle. As you can see, the jack indicator is already blinking, so we will proceed to lift the car steadily using the jack. I am genuinely curious to see exactly how this procedure is going to go today. The jack has already warmed up and is ready for the heavy lifting. Now that we have the vehicle nicely elevated to a comfortable height, we can work much more easily because we don't have to lie flat on the ground underneath it anymore. And I would also take a very careful look from the other side as well, just to see if you can identify exactly which one is touching right here in this spot. And then I want you to lift the tips of the tools much higher than they are now. Go ahead and lift those tips up. Just wait a moment. Keep the tips up and hold them in that position for me. So this is what it looks like here. There's just a block here, and I think it might also be worn out. I really don't want to proceed with it like this. We definitely need to lower the suspension on the right-hand side, primarily because the entire body of the car is tilting significantly toward the back right now. When you actually sit down and try to fix a balance issue like this, you have to be extremely precise with your adjustments. If we don't compensate for that backward lean by dropping the right side down a bit more, the handling is going to be completely off when we take it out on the road. It is absolutely essential that we get the leveling exactly right before we move on to the next stage of the repair process. Otherwise, all of this effort will be for nothing and the car will still feel unstable. Let's take a step back for just a moment to look at the details. If you are feeling curious about the technical specs, you might wonder exactly how much a little classic Fiat like this one actually weighs. It is roughly 640 kilos. But we have to subtract 50 kilos for the specific rails used on the lift system. That brings the total down quite a bit. Now, safety is absolutely the top priority in this workspace, which is exactly why we have another safety trolley positioned right here. To ensure everything is perfectly secure, we have one more additional trolley installed here as well. First, here is one screw, then here are two more screws. Here is another one, and right in the center there is one more to remove, and then the entire subframe will finally come down. Well, why don't you try to loosen it up using the impact wrench, if you have one handy. This is because I am already slowly lifting up the heavy jack for the full extension. Could you please hand me that wrench? Thank you. Damn. That really shot at me, but I noticed that there's actually no screw here, right? That it's just kind of... I thought it was fastened there, they're just clamped together. Now I'm looking at the leaf springs, and that's some kind of rubber pad. That was good. How much do you think this weighs? Write in the comments if you think I can hold it in one hand, because I have no idea how much it could weigh. These leaf springs. Before I write it down, damn. Before I write it down, it'll fall. Are we ready? So I can safely say it's about 10 kilograms in weight. It is wonderfully simple, and the axle is finally down. That process took maybe 5 minutes to complete. That's a brand new shackle. Well, actually, all of the shackles are new. They were all replaced in the back section. Good, yeah. This part can be taken off now. That's an aluminum bracket right there. Damn. And this area really needs to be treated. Just look at that condition.
Let's take a look at their condition. That's actually looking quite impressive and solid. But right over here I can see that this leaf spring is clearly showing signs of wear and isn't in very good condition anymore. Now what exactly are all of these layers we're looking at here? It looks like some kind of specialized rubber material, which was probably installed so the leaf springs don't squeak against each other when they touch. And you're wearing down the spacer here again. It's applied over the joints to prevent rust, but it still rusts anyway. Well, it didn't help much. What year is this car? 73, so it's just an old car. But that's the kind of flaky rust you see, because even under a steel wire brush, it disappears right away. So if you're curious how much a new axle like this cost, there are actually two arms here, shock absorbers. We could say the subframe bolts. So this is the box. Euros. Is it a lot? Is it a little? Hopefully for those 700 euros, it will bring better driving characteristics. This one will always want the original. You can always switch it back. There will be more changes on this car, but you'll see that in another video. For now, let's go. The subframe is down. We'll clean off this rust here and then You can go ahead and install the software right now. For a total price of $700, you'll receive the full version along with all the necessary components required for a complete setup on your system. For just a few euros, you even get some helpful instructions included in the package. However, we also realized we forgot a small but important detail, which is that we actually have to remove the shock absorbers entirely. To do that, you will find there is one nut located right here at the bottom and another matching nut positioned way up at the very top. You got it? Yeah, I do. That shock is completely shot. You push it and nothing happens. So it's not just the shock, right? Nothing. Even came back. Man, totally busted. Everything's original. Would you like to have anything else to eat or drink? No, thank you. I have had quite enough for now. The entire front end of the assembly is now completely finished and everything is in place. So the big question is what we are supposed to do next, but I have run into a bit of a problem because I simply cannot find the rubber piece anywhere. I have checked the workbench and looked through my tools, yet that specific part is still missing. It is quite frustrating because I was sure it was right here just a moment ago, and now I am stuck searching for it.
And you can screw in the shock absorber. Down in Slobiakne, then it starts to get a little bit more difficult and complicated here. So a few hours have now passed and the axle has finally been fitted and is now securely in place. Now there's going to be a significant amount of fine-tuning and careful adjusting to do, because right here you can set whether you have a drum brake or a disc brake. But you always have to unscrew the whole thing, take it all the way down, unscrew it again, and then put it back. Where exactly was it bought? Could you please say it one more time?
To near Ricardo.
Nirkard?
Ricardo.
So if anyone out there is interested in seeing how we handle such a specialized repair, let's take a closer look at where this particular vehicle actually comes from. Right here we have a classic Fiat 500 Sport. You might remember the details from France. You can actually buy it there, but this one originally hails from Italy, and it managed to arrive here at our shop in just 2 short days. Well, now that it is on the lift, we are going to carefully tighten every single bolt and component underneath before we finally lower it back down to the ground. It is quite interesting to see that these models are becoming popular and are around once again for a nice change of pace.
And then somehow we have to figure out how to do the alignment properly. But with these damn steering rods being so stuck, absolutely no one can move them at all. So maybe the wheel alignment will only be possible after we install some brand new rods. It was originally supposed to be tightened in just 2 minutes. However, the thread got completely messed up, so now it is going to take at least an hour. There is only 1 thread left, so you can't even rethread it, because there are simply no taps available here. So there is nothing else to do. We will just have to wait and see how it all turns out in the end. Normally I would just take a standard tap and carefully make the thread right here, and well, it's fully threaded now, so let's move on to attempt number 2. And once again, we're hammering away at it. Honestly, we're hammering it again, and we'll just drive it straight in there, so the end of the bolt will be completely done again. Now that we've got it all assembled and tightened up, this is more or less exactly how the finished piece looks. All right. And now we are slowly lowering the vehicle down to the ground. So let's take a close look and see exactly how everything is going to fit together. Looking at the wheel here, it seems to be kind of okay for now, but as we get lower, you can see the wheels are really turned quite sharply. This specific one on this side is always pointing way out to the right, while the other one is angled sharply over to the left. It is definitely looking a little bit off center at the moment, but we will just have to take it out for a drive and see how it actually handles on the road. And as you can clearly see right here, the bolts have stayed exactly where they were supposed to be inside there, without shifting or moving at all. Yeah, looking at it now from this perspective, this is actually a really kind of good and encouraging situation for us to be in at this stage, because it effectively demonstrates that the structural integrity is holding up much better than we had initially expected it would during this specific part of the assembly process, which gives us a lot more confidence moving forward with the rest of the build today. It is honestly quite strange and feels very unusual, almost as if some external force is being applied directly to me. I cannot help but wonder who it was that covered me up so completely. Surprisingly, it doesn't actually hurt at all, but there is a peculiar sensation as it moves right here into the A-arm section. I am watching closely to see exactly how you managed to put the specific element in place during this complex procedure. The next step in the process is to carefully take the material and begin to roll it out across the flat surface until it reaches the desired thickness and consistency for the project. We have all the pivots located all over the machine.
Here we have a bit of an issue right here on the main bearing. So we'll see, we'll tighten the bearing up, it'll lift up a little bit, and then we'll see what happens next. So very soon there will be brand new replacement parts here. And you just tighten the bearing for me. Not doing a full overhaul here, or is it for the soil? Surprisingly, they didn't even bother to put a wrench on that adjuster at all. All right, I need you to firmly grasp the steering wheel and keep it perfectly steady in that position. And while you are doing that, I am going to go ahead and use my wrench to carefully tighten up this bolt until everything is completely secure and won't budge at all. Well, it looks like we have already reached the absolute limit of what we can do here. We are also facing a significant problem because we have come to the very end of this specific thread, which means the wheel simply cannot be adjusted or moved in any further than it is right now. To fix this, we might need to carefully unpin the mechanism at this point and then try to thread it in much more deeply, which should eventually allow the tip to shift further over in this direction. Now we have the wheel turned out since we loosened it here. And when we want the wheel to go in, we're at the end of the thread. Now somehow, you would have to completely pull out the pin. So we're done. I went to test drive it now. I want to make sure it doesn't pull to one side anywhere, but it would be good to raise the suspension a bit more, because when I just measured it, one side, the driver's side, is 50 centimeters from the ground to the fender, and the other side is 53. But I don't know if that's because my brother was sitting there, so when he gets out, I'll measure it again, and then we'll see. We'll buy him those wrenches for the nuts, for the shock absorbers, and then we'll adjust it exactly as it should be. And for example, he didn't want to buy the ball joints that go on the knuckles, the steering joints, basically everything inside. And that means there's a bit of play everywhere. You have a millimeter here, a millimeter there, and then your wheels move up and down by a whole centimeter, as they say. So we'll see what he says when he gets here. And for now, that's probably everything. So we're done. As I said, new steering joints will be ordered. You have the knuckle, also that joint, so everything will be replaced. Then we'll do a better alignment, but for now, we've driven it, and the change is more than 100%. I'll hide here between the cars, it's not windy here. The difference is really significant. Even the steering wheel is lighter, so for those 700 euros, which it cost. So if anyone out there is currently considering making this upgrade, I can definitely and wholeheartedly recommend it to you. You should really buy that suspension if you want to keep the car feeling original. If someone tries to tell you it's not original anymore, you can always just put the old one back in later. But for me personally, the overall ride quality is absolutely fantastic. It is a bit more expensive, but the car itself is quite expensive too. So when you look at the big picture, the extra investment isn't actually that big of a deal. And the ride comfort is significantly better than before, so it is definitely worth every penny of the money. Maybe sometime a bit later down the road, I will also give you a detailed update on how it looks in the long run and how it continues to drive. Maybe we will even take it out for a nice long spin together sometime soon. And that's all for this episode. So see you in another episode. Bye.